Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about something unusual. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, the OSR in the Indies, and horror movies, and two specific horror movies, Meagan 2.0 and Final Destination 6. All right, okay, so let's jump into this. Okay, so Final Destination 6 and Meagan 2.0 are movies that are horror movies that came out this summer. I have a very distinct take on horror. So I'm a huge movie fan, but I really don't like, I generally don't like horror movies. I'm very, very particular. So one, I really like art house horror. I like A24. My favorites are Hereditary, Midsummer, Talk to Me, and Bring Her Back. These are really specific horror movies. Basically, I like horror movies that obey of evangelical Christian rules of the supernatural, which is like, it's so rare. Almost nobody does this, right? And so I generally don't like horror movies at all, right? But, A24 really got me into horror movies, and I started to make a habit to selectively go see them. And one of the best horror movies I ever watched was Meagan. I absolutely loved it. I have coverage right here on my channel about Meagan. And it was a brilliant, brilliant film. I really liked it. And one of the reasons why is it was a horror movie that really dug into the question of motherhood, into the wisdom and the structure and the philosophy of motherhood, which was pretty brilliant, right? So I was very excited. So I was very excited about Meagan 2.0, right? But then my excitement cooled when I didn't get a chance to go see it right away. And one of the reasons why was I was distracted by the blockbusters F1 and Jurassic Park Rebirth. They were big and shiny, and I'm like a crow. And I was like, oh, I want to see. And I saw both of them twice before I went and saw Meagan 2.0. And they all released around the same time, so I could have seen Meagan 2.0 right away. The other thing is my favorite reviewer really kind of ignored it, which is Grace Randolph. And I got to see its opening weekend box office number before I saw the movie, which cooled my interest in it even more, right? And so Meagan 1 had a $30 million opening, okay? And Meagan 2 had a $10 million opening, which is catastrophically bad. Everyone ignored this movie, okay? Now let's talk about Final Destination 6. So I have not seen any of the Final Destination movies. And that's on purpose. I ignore them because I think they're garbage, right? I don't like hack and slash films, and these movies are just piles of kills, right? Oh, look at how innovative the kills can be. And I think, well, where's your receipts for that if you've never seen it? Well, Grace reviewed it, right? And she was like, so Grace Randolph reviewed Final Destination 6, but has decided to not even see on streaming Meagan 2.0, right? That's pretty incredible. Now, what was the opening weekend on Final Destination 6? $50 million. 10 million higher than Meagan and Meagan 2.0's opening weekend combined, right? Well, Scott, what's important about these two movies? Well, here's the kicker. I tell you all the time, stay on Dungeons and Dragons. Do not waste your time on OSR and indie junk, right? Stay on that new fresh stuff, right? And stay on D&D now. And the reason why is D&D now is where philosophy and wisdom and great writing and progressive discussion all happen, right? Everything cool is happening on D&D, not on these scrub little OSR and indie games, right? And I'm always saying this, right? I'm like, hey, D&D is the thing, stay on it. It's the for realsies, right? And everything else you can ignore, right? And the reason why we're talking about this today is Meagan 2.0 has me a little worried in that It is a strong piece of, it is a receipt against what I'm saying. The reason why I'm here is saying this is this doesn't help my philosophy, right? This doesn't help my milieu. This doesn't help the main thrust of my channel, right? But I want to be transparent with you guys when I can, and I can be transparent about this. I just saw Meagan 2.0, and this worries me. And the reason why is, you know, D&D is Hasbro. It's a global brand, right? And it's like Final Destination 6, right? People know Final Destination, right? And people know the brand name. But Final Destination is garbage. It is not philosophy. It is not wisdom. It is not incredible writing. It doesn't discuss deep themes, right? But this tiny little Meagan and Meagan 2.0, right, which is a much smaller franchise, made by Blumhouse, whereas Final Destination is made by Warner Brothers, right? Like, that's a huge franchise, right? It's got 3 times as many films. It has hundreds of millions more. It's commercially successful the way D&D is, right? But Meagan 2.0 is brilliant. It is an absolutely brilliant film. Meagan was a massively, extremely well-written, beautiful piece of art that you can learn from. It has real value, right? Final Destination movies are useless. They're just piles of kills, right? They don't have anything significant to say. They're not pursuing philosophy or art or reason, or they're not valuable, right? And it flips, right? So it makes me wonder, I'm like, this must be how people feel. They're like, Scott, how can you say this? How can you pass up, like, you know, Dogs in the Vineyard and say that that's not the best thing when D&D, you know, and that D&D is, because it's flipped, right? D&D is the Final Destination of the TTR, Final Destination, you know, 2024 core rule books, which I'm telling you, get and buy and put this first, right? Over every OSR and over every indie, right? It is the Final Destination 6 of the TTRPG world, right? And, you know, Dogs in the Vineyard is the Meagan 2.0. It's this brilliant thing that no one is paying attention to, right? So what does this mean? Does this mean I'm wrong? It's an interesting question. I think the answer is no. And the reason why is this is one receipt. This is one receipt. This is one instance, right? And we have to look for patterns. And I don't see a lot of this in patterns, right? Generally, you know, and the reality is, it is troublesome. It is worrisome. It is one thing that I need to note, you know, like when people are like, no, Scott, these tiny little indies, this is what matters, right? These tiny little OSRs, this is what matters. And I really think they're wrong. I really feel like 2024 core rulebook, you know, all D&D now is always the thing. It's what carries Gygax's legacy. It's what has philosophy and wisdom and value, right? But there is this weird other circumstance where, you know, horror is saying, maybe Scott, maybe you're wrong, Scott, right? So I just wanted you guys to realize, you know, I do think deeply about the things I say. And when there's evidence, when there's a receipt that goes against what I'm saying, I do consider it, right? And if this continues to be a pattern, I might need to rethink my opinion, right? But right now, my opinion is sound. But this was a tremor, right? This was a tremor. This was the ripples in the water. And I'm like, whoa, is that a T-Rex coming? Or like, you know, because I truly believe Dungeons & Dragons is the philosophy. It is the value. It is the art. It is the new. It is the fresh. And it is the real deal, right? And I really feel like OSR and Indie are not doing anything to give it any real competition. But this stands in stark juxtaposition of the Final Destination 6, Meagan 2.0, right? Meagan 2.0 is real philosophy, real art, real value, real story, right? Final Destination 6 is garbage, right? But the masses embraced garbage and ignored the real, right? the actual valuable horror, right? I cannot sing praises high enough on Meagan 2.0. I actually thought it was better than Meagan 1.0. It was really spectacular. The only thing I missed was Ronnie Chiang. I definitely suggest you go see it. I'm going to consider this. I'm going to watch to see if there are other areas of the pattern breaking. I don't think there are, but I don't ignore evidence, right? I don't ignore receipts when they happen. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I can hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.